Hey, what's up? Good being here. I see I'm a bit too tall. Much better. So, as most of you guys don't know me, most likely, so I just want to give a background of how I ended up in the Brazilian jungle. Quite fucked up story. So this is where we live. Denise and I live there, middle of nowhere. And yeah, how did I get there from being a assistant professor at a university in Holland to the Brazilian jungle, jobless? So yeah, so this is what I did before. It's I developed food production systems so you could actually grow food on Mars. I developed bioreactors to transform poop into fertilizer. This is now at my place in the jungle, but I did it in a much more high-tech thing in Holland. So I did stuff like this. It looks, you don't have to understand it, but it's like these are causal loop diagrams. It's quite fucked up. This is about health now. This is about how your metabolism works in a very simplified way, right? I use this to create bioreactors. I use this to understand our metabolism, the metabolism of animals, the metabolism of everything. So I solve problems by using causal loop diagrams. This is a paper I've wrote in April, I think in April 2020. So this is when COVID hit. And everybody was like, oh, stay inside. You can't go outside. It's dangerous. The virus is floating. So I was writing the publication actually saying, hey, you should take vitamin D, you should take K2 in order to prevent getting sick. So I wrote this publication. Again, you can see my causal loop diagrams here on the right. So I used this principle in order, or this tool to show why vitamin D is so important for life. Okay, slower. Okay, I can do it slower. Okay, I'll do it a bit slower. So this is literally my publication, Vitamin D, that I submitted in April 2020. I never thought this could cause any problem because it got peer-reviewed, right, by several experts, and it got published in June 2020 in a journal. It's called International Journal of Infectious Diseases. It's one of the top-ranked journal in the world. So I submitted this paper. So my knowledge is based on literally data that's available. So this is a graphic we made, me and my colleague. You can see a scale down here. It shows vitamin D in nanograms per milliliter and a risk infection. So you can see if you have a vitamin D blood serum level of 50 nanograms or higher, the likelihood to get sick of anything, it doesn't have to be the sniffles, COVID, etc., of anything is super low. So we get to around 2.5% of the risk compared to 40 of the average American, right? So I mean, what I was telling is based on data. Yeah, this is another scheme. It just shows how it works within the metabolism of vitamin D. I also create this graphic during COVID in the beginning just to show it's not just vitamin D, you need to follow a holistic approach. Gut health is important. And what else do we got here? Environmental toxins, cortisol, radiation, etc. So explaining like how you can actually fix your metabolism, how you can stay healthy. Oh, for this graphic I was called a racist. I showed, I showed that actually black Africans or African Americans they got sicker of COVID more often because of vitamin D. It makes sense. Melanin, their skin color adapted to let's say sub-Saharan radiation levels. And once they moved here, or they got moved here to the US, they didn't get the sufficient sunshine or radiation in order to have healthy vitamin D levels. So that's what we saw in several communities, that people got sicker more often. Also based on facts, by the way. And there were many black people who thanked me for sharing this image as well. Oh yeah, do you guys know this dude here? No? Okay. You know? Good one. Like everybody is talking about Fauci here in America, but this is the guy who actually caused the pandemic. He as usual, he German, right? So it's Christian it's Christian Drosten, And what I said before about vitamin D, this got me into trouble. So my university was like, oh, you talked about vitamin Ds. I was like, why not? They were like, sometimes you have to know when to shut the fuck up. Don't talk about this. It's like conspiracy. I was like, that's conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. And they already told me to be quiet. And then this guy appeared, and like, big mess. So he's the guy behind two theories. First one, that you need a PCR test, that you can actually use a PCR test in order to declare someone ill or healthy. So that was this guy. He created the whole protocol for this COVID PCR test. The second, he also was the guy who was saying that there's asymptomatic transmission. So he was the first one who had a patient. He never had a patient in his life. The first patient in his life was someone from China coming to Germany, to Munich, and he said like, oh, asymptomatic transmission, and he made this a thing. So you combine a PCR test and asymptomatic transmission, and you have a pandemic. That's this dude. It's getting even more spookier. He wrote this publication. I'll show you something here. If you look down here, you see two dates. You see, article submitted 21st of January 2020, accepted on 22nd of January 2020, published on 23rd of January 2020. And everybody who's in science is like, what the fuck? And he had this many co-authors who were like, well, happens, never happened. And I showed this. So actually, I made this graphic in order to see, okay, what was the actual time frame in which he published this publication, right, until it got published. And first of all, it was like, okay, what is this this publisher? It's called Eurosurveillance. It's a EU-owned paper or publisher. So this journal, Eurosurveillance, from the EU-owned. Now I was looking into, okay, who's actually in charge of this journal? And I was like, wow, it's Christian Drosten himself. I was like, this is weird, right? I mean, like, it shouldn't be like that. That he's on the editorial board of this journal that published his paper within 24 hours. And I was like, maybe this journal is like quick in doing this in general. Maybe they have like, a huge team in there. And you were looking at this data here. So what you see at the bottom, that's the COVID protocol paper. And all the others, you have rapid communications. Can be quite some rapid sometimes, but the normal peer process takes approximately 180 days for this journal. There's just one outlier. It's him. And so what I did, I wrote a Twitter thread about this. So I had a Twitter account, super small. I have 40 followers maybe. And my neighbor, Wouter Aukema, who did this analysis, he was an analysis for IBM, and he was like, Simon, can you please explain how peer review process works? I'm like, yeah, sure. Because back then I was an editor for Springer Nature journal, and I had all the access to the back end, and I was taking screenshots and taking step by step how a peer review process works and why this is impossible. And I made this very small mistake. So not a mistake, but there is like a person on here. Marion Koopmans, Dutch state virologist. And me being employed by a Dutch state university, I shouldn't have tagged her maybe. So I tagged her and I was like, this is not normal. Can you please tell what's going on? And she probably made a call, So a very effective call. So I lost my job. Yes, and shortly after, my Twitter account got suspended as well. So it was all like within a short, I think 3 months. This all happened from being a respected scientist until being canceled and suspended everywhere. And they even told me why I got suspended, so I highly appreciated this from Twitter. So one tweet, actually this is the most interesting one, said people have died being denied access to safe and effective, cheap and available therapeutic systems such as ivermectin, vitamin D, etc. So, yeah, I mean, nowadays it's a fact. Nobody would deny this fact anymore, right? But back then they said like dangerous misinformation, so they canceled me. And the second one is actually wilder. So I asked, let's see. Yeah, I asked why the Bill Gates Foundation invested $55 million into BioNTech, which was like German shit. The German biotech company that was actually creating these vaccines with Pfizer. So these are the two tweets that said like, oh my gosh, asking a question, oh wow, that's bad. So yeah, so I got suspended and I was like, okay, whatever. So while I was gone from Twitter, we saw really crazy stuff going on there, right? Like, remember, I asked a question about Bill Gates Foundation and said like, ivermectin, vitamin D is beneficial. And then we had people like Piers Morgan, oh Lord. He said, for example, anti-vaxxers really are a bunch of spineless pussies. Okay, all right. Freedom of speech, right? And then you had this person here saying that natural immunity is a dangerous theory. Wow, okay. She also wrote this on Twitter, by the way, but I like this headline, kind of. Oh, and then we had, this guy. Oh my gosh. You had many people from the right wing who were in the beginning, actually the first year, 1.5 years, totally on the side of Big Pharma. Most of them who are now the freedom heroes and who are people know as, wow, they were anti-vax, they were in the beginning pro-vax, totally pro-vax. 80-90% of them. So everybody, all the names that come into your mind probably as people who are critical towards COVID in the beginning were pro-COVID. So yeah, actually Ben Shapiro tried to gaslight us into taking the vaccine. Eric Topol, okay, he never changed his mind, to be fair. he was just. Who of you guys knows Eric Topol? Oh Lord. So he was, he was behind getting many people deplatformed, and he was saying stuff like this, and he's still there, and he's still a professor in LA. Oh yeah, and I found a job in Norway, so I started the job in Norway. Right after I got fired in Holland, right after my Twitter account got suspended, which is good because, I mean, like, without the Twitter account, they didn't have me on their radar, so I had no problem in my job, nothing. I was conducting my new job as a scientist in Norway for 1.5 years. No issue at all, no problem at all, nothing, nothing. Until me and Denise, we were at my parents' place in Holland, and at night my mobile phone went crazy, like, zzz, I was like, what's going on? And I got Twitter messages, and I looked it up, and I got my account back, right? Just like, in the middle of the night, I think it was December 27th, so I got my account back, and I was like, wow, okay, so Elon Musk reactivated my account. 39,000 followers I had, and I was like, wow, this is crazy, I'm back. And shortly after I got this message by my employer's lawyers, I will read it. There have been several incidents on Twitter where Goddek's comments have exceeded his right of freedom of expression. I mean, I don't know how to do that. And then, yeah, they said like I talked about corruption, so it's true, I talked about corruption. So who of you guys knows David Fisman from Canada? Also a huge COVID shill who said like, we need a vaccine passport, people who don't obey should like be locked in their houses and stuff. So I was asking him whether he was corrupt. I was like, hey, I was taking all his tweets and I was like, look at your tweets from like last year, are you corrupt? So this was my question that obviously led to me exceeding my freedom of expressions on X or Twitter. Yeah, so again, I was without a job. Fun. So yeah, now it's a bit different. Now I have I think I have 1.1 million. The tables are turning a bit, but still, I mean, like you cannot undo what they have done. You know, it's unfortunately it's like that. So the damage they've caused, we cannot recover, even though many of us have a huge voice right now. So we moved here. You can see it's in the Atlantic rainforest. You can see all the mountains, and this little dot there is our house. It's totally remote, so getting to the next concrete road is 30 minutes by car. If it rains a lot, you can't get there. So it has a 24 degree elevation, I think, to get up the mountain. And even with an all-wheel drive car, it can be very challenging. So, I mean, like, this is the one, so on the other side, there are no criminals who could get up there and rob us or do whatever, which is like a thing in Brazil. So we can just like keep our car unlocked, leave the key in the car. We can leave our house unlocked, even when we are traveling now. House unlocked. Okay, don't make this public now. But it's like that. So we live at I think it's one of the safest places on planet, after Antarctica most likely. So yeah, we live in a very safe place on 5,000 feet. Yeah, just living our lives. I don't know what's happening. I think the first one was a video, but I don't know how to start the video, the clip. I don't know how to go back as well. IT? So maybe you can go back 2 slides, and this should be a video. Oh, no, this is not a video. No, wait, the next one. So let's go back. Okay, let me try to do it again. Here we go. This. Whoop. I think we're both clicking buttons, right? So maybe maybe the batteries ran out. Maybe that's it. I can click whatever I want. Okay, here it works. Okay, so this is our house. You can see we now have we have solar panels. We have battery capacity of 20 kilowatt hours. Greenhouses. We built ourselves streets. This street up there is also very steep, and yeah, we just built ourselves an infrastructure. So if the shit hits the fan, we are at a safe place. We use Starlink. You can see the little Starlink antenna there. So yeah, we're always connected to the outside world. This is a very old picture before we renovated many things, but you see it's a house in the middle of the jungle. This should be the video. I don't know. How can I start it? Maybe like this. Here we go. So I made a drone footage. Yeah, the drone is to just show how remote we are living, because I thought, like, okay, once I already spoke up, so I tried to get more jobs at other universities, other places. Nobody wants to take me. They said, oh, you're too critical, and oh no, you're spreading conspiracy theories. I'm like, which ones? And they couldn't tell me. I was like, okay, that's interesting. But you know how it works, right? I mean, that's what they always say. They always call you conspiracy theorists, but once you ask them, like, what, they can't tell you. So the same here. And I was like, okay, I have to do my own stuff now. So I started my own startup. So vitamin D. I do vitamin D, and now I'm metabolism optimization. I help athletes. I try to keep people healthy, and I do this via my Substack and my X account, which is significant. And yeah, you see, here we go. Me and my mom there. She was visiting, and yeah. So this is literally where we live. Let's see if we can get to the next one. Maybe you can give me a helping hand. Get to the next slide. Yeah, so I also built a greenhouse. Here I'm using NFT systems. So we use this for strawberry and basil in general, because we love pesto, green pesto. So we grow lots of basil. It grows like hell there, and strawberries as well. So even in the back, there's an outdoor place. We have strawberries. We have all kinds of stuff in order to be self-sufficient. I consider myself carnivore, but I still now and then want a veggie. And it's much better than eating a steak in the jungle with like some pesto, some green pesto, than ketchup. So I'm using this as a substitute. And so we don't grow everything ourselves. So meat, well, we have many boars, and my neighbors love hunting these boars. So we have boar in our fridge literally all the time. She's not a big fan of boar, but I like boar. It's super delicious. We get the meat from very local small butcheries. So it's really grass-fed, like it's grass-fed meat. So and we get raw milk from a dairy farmer. Like, you wouldn't, dairy farmer. He has like a very small hut. He has like 20 cows somewhere in the mountains that never see a human being, literally, and they come in now and then to give milk. And this is what we got: our own food, local beef, and raw milk. So I drink Wellington, like 1 to 2 liters. I have a gallon of raw milk every day. So yeah, I strive on that, and I think it's very, very healthy if they're not fed with soy and all this stuff. And in our cases, they don't do this. Yeah, so this is an overview I made for you guys, so you have some idea of how we live. So we have natural spring water. We live on 5,000 feet. So we have, I think, 3 springs on our land that comes right out of the mountain. So fresh water. Nobody is above our place. So it's just the water we get is the fresh water you can get. And the stream that's on our land, a stream with small waterfalls, it goes up all the way to Rio de Janeiro, which is like 500 kilometers. I don't know how many miles, maybe 300 or something. So it's a long stream, and it starts at our place. So I have a tomato greenhouse. You saw the second picture I showed. I'm using with the LEDs because during the day, my solar PV is generating lots of electricity. So I'm using the LEDs as like an energy sink. So my tomatoes grow faster. So I have a Goddek kiln. I use it to make terra preta. Terra preta is like a soil that the Tupi did in the rainforest in Brazil back in the times. Because the soil we have is really awful due to rainfalls, etc. So we have the surface runoff and erosion and whatever you got. And we use this Goddek kiln to make charcoal. We have a wood chopper to turn the charcoal into powder, and we mix it with some kind of bacteria that I grow in bioreactors and compost. So my soil is like black, like this box here. So and everything grows in there like crazy. But if I put like a plant just into the soil, it's literally dying. So I'm using this to get my land better. I have a berry garden. I have the main house. Chicken. We have many chicken. Sometimes we have many chicken. Sometimes few, because we have jaguars and pumas, and big ones. They're called onça parda. It's up to 200 pounds, so it's a huge animal. And even we have a chicken coop. It's very well protected with a double fence, electric thing. This thing just destroys the roof, to enter. So sometimes our chicken population goes down to 2 or 3 and then goes back up to 40. So I think now we have 50 eggs in our incubator. Just that these jaguars can continue their hunting. I have a barn, storage, and gym. This was an old house down close to the river, so I'm using it as a barn and a gym, and I have my studio there, so where I'm working. That's basically our setup. It's quite simple, I'd say, and but self-sufficient in any way. Oh yeah, and I want to talk about freedom of speech because everybody is now saying like, okay, what you're saying during COVID, totally true. We are with you. Everybody should have the right to say whatever you want. But once I say things that go against the narrative, people attack it again. So, for example, I take a stance in the Middle East conflict, but I don't like either side. So I think it's all ridiculous. And I think if they want to have a war, they should have the war. But they shouldn't try to drag Western people or Europeans or Americans into this war. That's my personal opinion, all right? And I just see one aggressor right now. And there was another aggressor before. When there was another aggressor before, I would say, like, oh, look, there's another aggressor, right? But like right now, there's, in my opinion, one main aggressor. And I'm saying this. So there's this one guy for whom I've been writing articles, Alex Fleiss. He's the grandchild of a guy named Larry Silverstein. Who knows Larry Silverstein? Lucky Larry. Yes, that's the guy who just bought the World Trade Centers before 9/11, made an insurance for plane crashing into them, checked out double, and the only day he wasn't at work was September 11th. So that's the grandchild, and he's like immediately like, are you a fucking Jew hater? And you would have been signed up for the Third Reich for Hitler. And I was like, what the heck? He was replying to this, by the way. And I was like, okay, this happens everywhere. So people are trying to silence me for something new now. I mean, like, not just me, Dave Smith, Thomas Massey, we all get these messages. And actually, I think we're just standing for humanity and anti-war. But I mean, like, this is like the new thing. It's like, when you cannot see someone as an individual, and when you put a ideology, above an individual, then you are a communist, a libertarian. So this is my opinion, and I stand with this. I just wanted to finish it with this because I'm a free speech absolutist, and I think Everybody should be able to state their opinion, unless you want to harm another one physically. So this is my red line. I think that's the red line of most of you guys. And it was the same during COVID. They used the same logic. They said, like, you say stuff, you're killing people. You're killing people with your vitamin D paper. That's how they canceled me. Now they use a different narrative. And I think we should all stand for, the freedom of expression. I think everybody here probably shares my opinion. So I'm not talking in front of socialists who want to kill me right away. But I think we can agree with this. But I just wanted to include this because I think it's very important, and I think it's a big danger these days, especially today, tomorrow, yesterday, that America is going to be dragged into the next war, and it's dangerous. So yes, I think there's no more slide. Maybe you can click. Oh yeah, it is. Oh my gosh, the most important thing. I'm here baking pizza. Yes. So I mean, like, I already got invited here, and I was like, what can I do? And last time I was here with Luke Rutkowski, 2 years ago, we were looking for seed oil-free food everywhere. We couldn't find it. We couldn't find seed oil-free food here. We were like, what the heck? So we are making seed oil-free pizza with a 48 hours fermented sourdough, whatever you can imagine. We make it at 43. And I also have my supplements there that I'm selling for a cheaper price than online. If someone of you thinks like, okay, maybe I should try vitamin D as well, it's good for me. So we're there, and we have debates every night around from 4 till midnight. We are there approximately. So there's Martha Buena, she's here as well, and there are some other people who are there just like debating people or just being there for a talk. We have chairs, we have drinks and pizza. So if you want to join, we had 43. You can even get a late night snack because everything closes here at 8 or 9. We don't. So, so if you had a joint at 9 and you're like, oh, I need food, you can just drop by. Yes. Is there one more slide? I don't know. I don't remember. So I wished I could. No, it's Q&A. So yeah, 30 minutes perfect. So I made it within 30. And I think actually the most important thing here to have a dialogue is Q&A. For you to ask questions or understand things or ask things about vitamin D being canceled or moving abroad, so if there are people who want to ask questions, just come to the front. If not, it was a short presentation, right? I think it doesn't work.
Hear me? Hello? Oh,
yes.
Okay, now we can. Thank you for your talk. A couple things. It's not only unique to you, but some doctors I've worked with in the past, medical doctors, if they're told you don't think, you do everything the pharmaceutical tells you to do, and if you do, their lawyers will take care of you with any lawsuits by dead patients or whatnot, but you have to adhere to what we say and do. I've also had people in the weather realm that used to work for NOAA and so forth. And when they had to sign a document saying, no more personal opinions, you only release what we tell you you can release. Some of them I've worked with departed, started their own businesses, and they're the most accurate forecasters in the world because they don't use fudged data. And so it's happening in all realms over time. It's the frog in the pot that slowly heats up, and we're now at the boiling point where, like with you, you're trying to save lives and point out discrepancies, and so many people have been hypnotized by everything around them. You end up being ostracized, as I've seen in others. So I commend you for all the sacrifices and things you've tried to do to persevere with all this.
Yeah, thank you. There's a sentence they always use, is the science is settled, right? I mean, they were telling me this in the beginning, so I got phone calls. It's like the science settled, and I give arguments, and they say like your arguments are valid, but sometimes you need to know when to shut the fuck up. And I'm like, how can they do to a scientist? A science should actually question everything. There's nothing science shouldn't question everything, be it historical events, be it whatever you wanna question, right? I mean, like nowadays, even as a science, if you say there are only two genders, they attack you, they cancel you. That's totally wild. And I was co-authoring a paper. And I was actually main authoring a paper on. I did some modeling for greenhouses in the Namib Desert because we were trying to simulate Mars. So there we checked like, okay, how resilient is it to temperature changes? Because there are always temperature changes, right? And I had to include all the climate change models and what they are saying, what IPCC is saying. And they said like, the people were saying, you have to put it in there, otherwise we don't publish it. Yeah. So I put it in there. And in the last review, there's always one more iteration for the typesetter. I've just put one sentence in there like that the climate modeling is like the COVID modeling is bullshit. And they didn't see it. It got published. so I just had to put it in there because they tried to silence me. And their professors are like, if you don't do this, we don't help you anymore. So it's unfortunately is what you said. And I think with the medical with the medical staff or doctors, it's a bit different because I know at least in Europe there are laws. So for example, if someone has cancer and you don't say, okay, you have to do chemotherapy. If you don't do this, it makes you liable. So they can sue you afterwards for giving alternative, options. So if it goes wrong, so imagine you say like, okay, maybe you change your diet, don't eat omega-6 fatty acids, try to reduce the sugar, change your lifestyle. And they say this, and the person eventually dies maybe, but the chance is, in my opinion, much lower than chemotherapy. But they say like, you kill this person, you can go to jail. So I think the big pharma has way too much power in general. But we saw it during COVID. But it's not only big pharma who has a lot to say. There are also other lobbies.
Good morning. Follow-up question. You've talked about being silenced as a scientist. Have talked about legal power against you, being ostracized as well. Have you ever had to deal with physical threats or safety issues directly to you and or any of your compatriots who take a negative view of the accepted nonsense out there?
Physical threats, as in death threats, every second, third day, approximately, in Twitter DM and emails. There are also many people I should do a best of the emails I get. There are many, many dirty emails I get, but I have several words that I put into the filter that get blacklisted right away, so it's cleaning up stuff. But there's no one who came up to me and says like, hey, what you're saying is like awful and wants to hit me or whatever, This never happened. The opposite is the case. So I think these people who are attacking you online, I think they're 90% bots. I'm convinced they're bots. And when I meet people in person, I think there's hardly ever, it's either agree to disagree, or you just don't tackle topics. So for example, my family, extremely leftist. I just don't talk about politics. I mean, like this is how you avoid conflict, right? I mean, like if I said COVID is a fake, my dad would be like, yes, but the rest of the family would be like, are you fucking crazy? So I know with whom to talk about what and what to say in which situation. But threats come in a lot, especially. Now it's the Zionists who are threatening, but in a very dirty way, much dirtier way than the COVID. And during COVID it was leftist people like, oh, wish you and your family die of COVID, stuff like this. Or there were some death threats that are reported right away. But I don't go to the police because I think like dogs that bark don't bite. So whenever they send messages like this, they're not going to do anything. So that's my take. And if they come up to the jungle, my dogs are hungry. So good luck, yes.
As a follow-up question, given the change, as people realize how we were bullshitted for so much of this, do you feel like the opportunity is opening back up for people like yourself to come back into the main stage and be heard, be published, be respected, and be followed?
Not me. I would have to say, hey, I support Israel. I'll stand with Israel, and then maybe I might have a chance. But I'm against the narrative of the government. So I was like, after COVID, was like, oh, no, this is my comeback. And then this happened. Everybody forgot about COVID. Everything forgot about what happened. And now we have the new common thing, which takes another 2 or 3 or 4 years. And then everybody's like, oh, COVID is so long ago. We're not going to hold Fauci accountable anymore. I think this is unfortunately what happened. So that there's this new, I call it common thing, this new narrative coming up. And I'm against this narrative too. Maybe in the next narrative I'm pro-government, but most likely not, because I hate government, hate politicians and whatever, So the likelihood that I'm pro-government is close to zero. And unfortunately, most universities are, in Europe especially, in the US you have more or less, they're governmental funded. So the likelihood that I will go back there is close to zero, and I enjoy being independent now. So, I mean, there are some people who buy my supplements. I can live a life in Brazil. In the US, I think I couldn't finance my life. At least what I'm making now, and I'm also not taking money from sponsors on X. So almost all huge accounts, they team up with whatever. So there's really crazy stuff they team up with, and they easily make 5-6 digits per month just to team up with sponsors or foreign governments. I know some cases. I'm not going to make them public because it will come out one day. And I don't want to be this asshole. But still, there are many big accounts who sell out their soul. I don't. So I just prefer saying what I think on social media, and then I have my vitamin D. I have my products people buy, and Twitter pays a bit of money off ad revenue share, which is like very low, 4 digits. But if I had the same views on TikTok, I would make 250,000 per month. So, but I'm not on TikTok. So I chose the wrong career as well, again, on social media. But I mean, like, I'm happy what I do, and I don't see myself in any governmental position or in any place in the university probably ever again, unless the system really changes. So I think I'm more like most of you guys, independent people, independent thinkers. You're like a piece of puzzle, how much you try, you don't fit into the last spot of the puzzle. And that's like me as well.
Well, thank you very much. And very often science needs a very good gadfly.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Afternoon. When do you think the next narrative is going to play out, be it infectious, climate change, and how do you think it's going to play out any differently than this last disaster?
Yes, I can. It's just my speculation, right? I mean, they're not going to come with infectious diseases anymore. They're going to fail. Everybody saw the truth now. Climate change, they're always trying to push this narrative, but it's getting colder. So I think they're going to have a very hard time doing this well. And many people, they don't believe in this as well. So I think it's going to be a monetary thing. They have to push the digital currencies. Mm-hmm. And what could happen? A new Black Friday, maybe. So I think there's going to be a global crash at some point, or a big economic crisis, and they're going to say like, oh, now we use the digital currencies. It's safe, and they're gonna abandon like real cash. They're already doing this in Europe, and like in Sweden, nobody uses it. In Brazil, when was the last time people used cash in Brazil? No, nobody uses money, no? Nobody uses money there. And if you go pay with money, everybody's looking like you, like, oh, this is so crazy, So yeah, we do trading in Brazil. So we take eggs and we get milk, like it used to be. But I think cash is they're gonna abandon cash. They're gonna say, okay, cash is, we can't trace cash. And then we'll be like, oh, like there's so many criminals. We need the Mexican cartel, etc. We need this central bank-backed digital currency. And I think they're gonna use this, and this is gonna be the new common thing, but not as a big crisis, but as a means to control you. And I think there will be some pushback, but I think this is what's going to happen. But it's just my opinion. But there could also be another war. Maybe Europe against Russia. So I mean, the Europeans they're now going crazy. They're building tanks. They just shut down in Germany several car factories, and they're turning it into tank factories. So that's quite concerning. So then this might be a new thing.
Well, hopefully they make electric tanks, because then they won't go anywhere and they won't harm anybody. But as far as I'm a retired physician, and during the pandemic, the pressures for you to conform. If people wanted to come to you for an honest opinion, they were going to try this. I mean, ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine have got to be two of the safest medicines known to mankind. And it was astounding. Even if you wrote prescriptions for patients, the pharmacists wouldn't fill it. They'd report you and the push for conformity is astounding. So.
Yeah, in
thank
Brazil
you.
we get ivermectin over the counter all the time. Always has been like this. It's not even $1 for a package of ivermectin. So it was the first thing we were using. We were eating ivermectin. So yeah, it's as you said, hydrochlorine and ivermectin are super safe. So it's vitamin D is not that safe if you take it without K2. So that's why I wanted the paper, because you don't want to. Calcification is not super harmless. So if you take 100,000 per day or something, you don't take K2. Don't do it. But with K2, it's probably the safest, just like ivermectin.
Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to hurt yourself with those medicines. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi there. I had read your thread on Kristen Drosten years ago when you wrote it. Your thread on Kristen Drosten?
Yes.
Do you have it archived anywhere?
It's archived. It's there.
It
so
is
you just
there?
go to my profile and you look search, and then you say something like COVID paper or PCR test paper or PCR test, and you will find it.
Okay.
It was literally the first post I made on X. So.
Yeah, I remember reading it back then.
Yes.
It was great. I also wanted to ask, what are your thoughts on Jack Kruse and his views on the sun? And do you follow him at all?
I know. No clue.
No?
No clue.
Okay. All right. And how safe do you feel in Brazil? I know you're remote, but with Lula and his government takeover.
Lula?
How do you guys feel? Like,
Lula. Yeah.
and once you come off the mountain, how do you feel?
Yeah, it was really crazy because I moved there while Bolsonaro was a president, and he was actually the only one who was reducing the government and was literally super critical towards corruption in government, and all the other presidents in Brazilian history are, well, I don't know if you can say this, but super corrupt, most like in my opinion, right? And Lula now, it's wild. They were now sentencing a comedian for 8 years and 4 months for jail for making fun about minorities. Imagine about obese people. I mean, like, make fun of the obese and you go to jail. About retarded autistic people. I'm autistic. I mean, like, they can make. I laugh about his jokes anyway. I'm not offended.
Right.
But yeah, the thing is, he's very famous. He has shows in front of 10, 15,000 people. He fills the whole stadium, and then people go there and they're like, "Oh, we were so offended." And they push charges against him, now 8 years in jail. But if you're a corrupt politician, well, nothing. It's fine. They even release you from prison, like Lula. He was in prison. He was in prison for a reason, because he was super corrupt and was proven. And they just released him because of minor procedural errors, and then he can run again. And now they're trying to put Bolsonaro into jail for a thing. They said like that he started. So you have January 6th. Brazil has January 8th. These were a group of elderly people, so the average age was 74. Mainly women, unarmed, and they said that they tried to overthrow the government. And all these 85, 90 years olds are in jail forever. So it was like a coup of 74 years old women, more or less. And they said like, oh, Bolsonaro planned this, and he's most likely going to jail as well. So
will he be going to jail, do you think?
yeah, most likely. Yeah? You think he's going to jail? She's a lawyer, so she follows this. And yeah, Alexandre de Moraes, he's like the king, Yeah. He's executing. He's doing everything. He does everything. Alexandre de Moraes, our dictator, and he's like, I mean, he already knows what he's going to do. It's a show process, and he will most likely go to jail for elderly women protesting in front of the parliament. So that's Brazil right now. But when we moved there, we were like, free country. We don't have to wear. If you didn't wear a mask, I'm like, hardly anyone gave a fuck.
Right.
So there are some people in the supermarket, oh, you would kill my system. I'm like, shut up, But otherwise, it was quite free. So in the interior where we live, on the countryside, you hardly saw any masks. Everybody was like, oh, what the heck, But yeah, unfortunately, Lula now it's a big threat for democracy in Brazil.
You still feel safe there? You guys still feel safe there?
We feel safe there. So
Yeah.
I cannot. I would love to talk a lot about Brazil on my X, but I avoid it. And if I do, I do it in a way that they can. I don't say like, look, these are criminals. I say like, in my opinion, what they're doing is, that way they cannot do anything. But still, I'm trying to hold back and rather focus on the U.S. I mean, my company is in the U.S., so I'm very bonded with the U.S. I lived in Texas and Oklahoma, And where I'm from, my origin is Europe, so I focus on these. And even to Europe, I don't know if they would get me at the border for whatever. So the only travels we do currently is US, because there's still some a high degree of freedom of speech here. So yeah, we feel safe here and also at our place there.
Okay, good to know. Well, thank you.
One thing, when someone asks you if bodily harm or whatnot, I just want to make people aware, as much freedom as they think we might have in this country, I want to cite something here. It's called Secrecy of Certain Inventions and Withholding Patent Act, 35 U.S. Code 181. It was secretly passed in 1951, and it says, essentially, it prohibits the patenting and commercialization of any technology threatening oil.
Wow. Okay.
And so what happens, like I've got 7 or 8 US and worldwide patents. They did not threaten oil. So they went through the first level and got approved eventually after a few years. If you come up with a technology here that threatens oil, it goes to a second level. And if they determine your invention could threaten oil and destabilize the economy on the petrodollar and so forth, they can give you a cease and desist order for 50 years. You cannot speak to anybody of it or go directly to federal prison, huge fines. And if you still fight it, that's when bodily harm comes in. American intelligence media has done articles of the scores of scientists who fought and ended up dying of heart attacks, suicide, bullets in the back of the head, and so forth. So there's still phenomenal challenges here. When I've spoken before energy committees, when they push solar or wind or whatever.
Hydrogen. Guess why it's invented in Japan? I mean, it makes sense now.
It comes down, I say, everyone complains government should not be picking winners from losers. I indicated that's a false impression. Governments can only promote losers.
Yeah.
And so anything that's subsidized is the appearance of competition, but it isn't. So it's happening everywhere, and we just got to keep people aware of this. And when they're pushing certain things, saying more of us are realizing some of the secret laws that's been.
I get it. I mean, like you still have the First Amendment. If you live in Europe, you imagine UK, and you post a meme, and next day they sit in front of your door and put you into prison. So I think there were more than 1,000 cases in the last 3 years in the UK that people were in prison for a meme, right? You have the same in Germany. So there's things you cannot say in Germany. Actually, nothing against politicians. So they have an article. It's like saying something against the king. So if you can criticize every person for something, but if you criticize a politician, they will pick you up. So I mean, like in the US, you don't have this yet, you know. But still, I mean, like I tweet about this a lot, about how AIPAC controls your Congress and your Senate. So there's the US is still, you know, I think it's hijacked, but still you have personal freedom, especially in some states like New Hampshire. I mean, like California, a different story, right? I mean, like, but still you have quite free states where you can say what you want, you can open carry, and you should embrace this, because nowhere else in the world you can do this. Nowhere in the world. So
and I would just state, if anyone's ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, they give
Indiana Jones.
And they give you subliminal messages when you see the item crated up and put into a warehouse with all these thousands of others.
Yes.
It's been documented right now, going back to the 1940s, there are over 6,000 technologies that continue to be suppressed. And typically what happens, they put a 50-year limit on it, because once they've exhausted their monopoly, it'll be one of their grandsons that comes up with one of the suppressed technologies to continue the cash flow. So
you have to know the end scene where they said like top secret, you know, on this box, and you're in this very big, you know, arsenal of whatever. So yeah, it
comes down to generational grifters.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
Hey there. First off, thank you for putting your own ass on the line for defending freedom.
Excuse me, I can hardly hear you.
Sure thing. Thank you for putting your ass on the line and defending freedom and fighting for that. I've got sort of a question, my situation that might relate to yours. So I'm very interested in mushrooms, and I would like to be a drug dealer.
Magic ones or normal
Magic
ones?
mushrooms.
Okay.
Right now, I've been looking at the legality of selling that, and it seems right now like grow kits are something that I can kind of do. I'm most interested in actually just giving out the product. And I also want to, on social media, part of it, dress up as a mushroom, tell people American history, world history, and some of the other sciences, kind of have just being a freedom fighter in all sorts of ways while also selling my product. I also do not like jail or prison. I think that's very anti-freedom, and I do not want to go there. So do you have any suggestions for somebody that is kind of going into more legally gray areas?
So regarding psilocybin, I guess.
Psilocybin, and also like advertising, like how to do that without going to prison or jail, and good ways.
I don't know how it works here. In Brazil, it's totally legal. That's wild, actually. They forbid everything, but it's psilocybin and magic mushrooms are totally legal. I don't know how it is here. I think there are some states here where you can sell and grow, right? Same in Europe. There are some. In Holland, you can do literally everything. in Portugal as well, and there are some countries that would put you into jail. So I don't know how to approach this in a legal situation. But I think psilocybin is one of the most potential medicine out there, or especially there are very interesting studies regarding Alzheimer's, that they can actually reverse it to some degree. And yes, and also for people with ADHD, for people with addiction. So if you're addicted to alcohol and you take microdoses of psilocybin, you don't have the need to drink alcohol. But all this information is hardly accessible because people think magic mushrooms, you sit there and you see all the colors and you go crazy. I mean, like people do, yeah. I was with an MD from Berlin, and we were like somewhere at a lake in Berlin. He was like, "Let's take mushrooms." I'm like, "Yes." I took a dose and I didn't feel anything. And he was like, "Look, there's a colored crocodile." I'm like, "Where?" He was like, "Right there." And he was convinced it was there. I'm like, okay, I don't take a higher dose than this. but still, I think it's especially on the microdoses, it's a very strong thing, and I hope at least that the NHS is gonna legalize it, and because those things that work like CBD, psilocybin, all these natural sources, they're so good for you. They can help so many people who are ill, and they can actually attack the root cause of an issue right now. And currently, all the stuff you can buy from Pfizer, they just manage we call it end-of-pipe solution. They're just like treating the symptoms a bit, but they make sure that you remain ill, so you'll be an all-life patient.
Yeah.
That's the issue of Big Pharma.
I've got a question about that, and this will be my last one. Is there something better than psilocybin that you would say? Is there something better than psilocybin that you would say that's a better just fix for any of the issues? Something that you're very excited about?
I can't hear you.
Is there something better than psilocybin that you would say is a better fix to the issues, not a Band-Aid?
If there's something better?
Yeah.
Yes. A healthy diet. I think what I will say, the most important thing for health is a healthy diet. So this is number one. So there's nothing that comes close to a healthy diet, which means ditch your seed oils, eat healthy meat. So the meat you get in the supermarket, usually here in the US, it's soy-fed cattle from mainly Arizona and Kansas. I don't know where the cattle is here in the US. And they have an omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids ratio of 30:1. Highly inflammatory, right? So they use this meat for the cancer studies. And they're like, oh, look, red meat causes colon cancer. It doesn't. Just check what kind of red meat you use. Because if you use permaculture, raised beef or meat, then you have a ratio of 3:1, not 30:1. And that's highly beneficial, right? So I think people have to know this. It's not just like, oh, be carnivore, and people do it, and like, oh, I didn't feel better. You have to take the source of your food. The same with the vegetables. If you check a tomato, 60 years ago, it had 5 or 6 times more nutrients than nowadays. So back then you ate 1 tomato, now you have to eat 6, but who eats 6 tomatoes? So, again, try to get organic vegetables because they usually contain the vitamins that you need. And try to avoid all the lectins and, the beans, the grains, and everything that actually is an anti-nutrient, actually binds nutrients, and it just ends up in the loo. I would say diet is the most important thing. The second thing is sleep. So people don't sleep enough. I think the average person sleeps 5.5 hours and it should be 8 till 9. Otherwise you have a chronic elevated cortisol levels, and that doesn't only make you age faster, but it also it also causes you of getting chronic diseases. And the third one is exercising. So these are the things. And the fourth is like my favorite topic. It's the sun. So take the sun before vitamin D, because the sun has impact on many more metabolic pathways than just vitamin D. But I mean, like, go out in the sun and supplement with vitamin D so you get to 56 nanograms per milliliter, and then you should be fine. So these are the things that are, I think, the most important things. And then, of course, if there's still a thing, take stuff like psilocybin, try to fix the root cause of an issue, and try to check what is the root cause, you know? For example, for some people, just for myself, we live in the jungle, and I was there, and I was like getting sick. Everything was itching, and my nose, my head, and we figured out they were like fungi, you know? There was mold somewhere in the house, which was very hard to see, but when you take the black light, you see, oh, there's mold. So we removed all the mold, and it disappeared. So sometimes it's like a solution where you're like, okay, why could it be? You know, and you have to find the root cause, eliminate the root cause, and then you're super fine again. So this is for everybody the same. But if you go nowadays to an MD, you know, to random MD, he will just say like, okay, what does Pfizer have for you? You know, he doesn't check and say like, okay, let's check your omega-3 index, your vitamin D blood serum level. Let's see, where do you live? How do you live? How much do you sleep? What do you eat? They don't ask this. These are the more important questions that nobody's asking, but they should be asking.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think we're done, right? I mean, like 2 more minutes. I just want to thank you all. Great. It's great being here again, and